And we're live.
Whoa.
Hey everyone, welcome to Wednesday.
Welcome.
Ian, what day is it?
Oh, right away.
The 27th.
It's the August 27th of the year of our Lord, maybe not really, 2025. And today I forgot to update the topic thing that pops up, but that's fine because we're going to talk about pigs, Uranus, not Uranus,
Uranus.
and you. And also some other stuff. There's a bunch of other stuff.
I have a question for you guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. That was quick.
If you could make any god exist,
Oh, interesting.
which one would you actually want to exist?
None of them. I mean,
None?
I wouldn't want to be in a universe with a creature with that much power.
Yeah, it's kind of...
But
Suspect.
if you had to, like forced choice, one god will come into existence. Who
Yeah.
would it be?
Like Thor?
No.
No, all those gods are messed up. They have like such
Yeah, you can't.
psychological
Apollo
damage.
from Star Trek.
The Greek gods too.
No, you don't want any of the Greek gods because they're all way too.
They're all assholes.
Yeah, they're basically all. They're all freaking hedonistic.
Well, what about the god of
psychos.
drunkenness? He's probably at least fun, right?
How about Gaia? I don't
Bacchus, or whatever.
know. Isn't she just like nature?
Yeah,
yeah, that's
that
true.
would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how did she feel about technology?
Oh.
Yeah,
What about
that's-
Buddha? Is Buddha chill? Is he a god?
He's
I don't
not
know
a
if he's a
god. He's a
god.
demigod.
He's just a guy.
He's a guy.
just a guy.
He's a guy with some powers, I guess.
Hey, thanks for the gifted subs. Look, a bunch of people got gifted subscriptions on the YouTube.
Nice.
Oh wow,
Or
thank you,
memberships,
guys.
rather,
That's
they call it.
fantastic.
Thank you,
All right, how
Paul.
about Hephaestus? He's busy
Festivus?
himself just making stuff.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Somebody said Iluvatar, or whatever the thing from the god of Middle Earth,
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings. I mean, I guess he doesn't do much, right?
Yeah, that god basically is like a deist type of god, right? Like kind of flick the marble and basically sit back
Yeah.
with little.
Well, people think like Tom Bombadil is him or whatever, but I don't think that's true or whatever. I don't. That's a whole sub.
Deliberately enigmatic character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
Take my money, thank you, Paul.
I mean, I question even if Tolkien knew exactly who Tom Bombadil was.
Yeah, I think he just like made up a fun something or other character.
How about that god dude from Hitchhiker's Guide? Remember, he's like
No.
just that.
What
You don't remember
god?
that weird dude?
No.
There's lots of weird dudes.
Yeah, that's not very
Yeah,
specific.
that's like all
But
of
he
it's
was
weird.
he was a
god.
Was he god? Was he a god? I mean,
God.
he
Good
he
god.
had some wicked. He had like major powers.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It's so fuzzy. It's been a while since I listened to that damn.
been a
You know,
while.
as
Somebody help
I
me out
think
here.
about it, I'm like,
Been a while.
some of my criteria for this is like, what would that god do for me?
Hey,
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just like, yes,
Don't
of
ask
course.
what your god can do for you.
I know, but you
Ask
know,
what you can.
I can't help but click into that because you're like, okay, you want a god that would be largely
Chill.
good, right?
Oh, yes.
Now, I wouldn't say benign because you want the god to do something, but I
Do you?
definitely would want to know if the god would improve the quality of people's life on Earth and my life.
But they might think they are
Yeah,
from their godlike perspective.
like an AI would do it.
Yeah,
you know,
like it, yeah,
Like it's best for
I don't know.
humanity if half of you die.
exactly.
Yeah, I feel like we're coming to that, right? Isn't that the?
Yeah, we're
few-
basically-
Any
there.
any virtue you come up with could be applied in such a way that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, people say Sandman. Sandman is kind of a cool god. Have you guys watched the Sandman show?
I did not.
It's
Mhm.
pretty good.
I did. It was all right.
But there's a second season that just came
I,
out.
like halfway through the second
How
season.
was that?
I think it's
Right.
cool.
The first one wasn't too bad.
It's very fanciful. It doesn't explain a ton. I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's all like interpersonal, like the Greek gods are all.
It's
messed
very
up.
Greek mythos.
Yes.
Because there's like Satan and Hades or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, Dan Ober said in the chat, good, all-knowing, all-powerful, but if there was one, there'd be no children's hospitals, and that is
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I were God, I don't think I would, it would be a prerequisite that you have to die.
You
Mm-hmm.
can choose to die.
I mean, I would definitely make lifespan longer than 80 plus years. That's like by the time
Yeah,
you get
but
your
that's
shit
from
together.
your narrow mortal perspective. It might be
Mhm.
better for humanity if we don't live forever.
Nah, that's bullshit.
Or can we just planet hop? Can we hop to a different planet and be like, "Boing."
How about a pantheon? You can't bring one god into existence.
Too much
unless it's
power.
monotheistic.
Mm.
You have to bring the entire pantheon.
But Steve,
have to have a
historically,
Congress.
pantheon gods are the psycho gods.
I know they're psychopaths.
Oh.
I mean, they all seem to have like, with some exceptions, they all are kind of narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Hephaestus like isn't that, but he was angry. You know what I mean? So you don't know if you want that.
Which god is running on universal healthcare? That's the one.
Yeah.
That's it,
Oh, I got a message from my
you're frozen.
freaking health insurance
Froze again,
company
sorry.
saying, "Hey, because of the federal government's changes to blah blah blah, your coverage is going to change
Mm.
For the better?
for the worse."
For the worst.
Yeah.
We're all gonna
yeah.
die.
Ian, can you widen that camera?
I will. I mean, that's why I'm using this one for the wide.
I'm ready for my close-up.
There's your close-up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Semi-close-up.
I don't know how that's going to manifest, but right now I already have very poor coverage
Mm-hmm.
because I can't afford the gold standard
Let me widen
super
that
high quality stuff because that's basically only companies can afford to get that because they have tons of people on their plan. Hello. So anyway, shifting away from gods,
Mm-hmm.
there was this thing I sent Ian that I thought would be fun for us to discuss.
All right, we'll jump to that right away. Hold on. I think I sent it to myself.
But I'm going to preamble this by saying I was reading the SGU's subreddit,
Uh-oh.
and there were people complaining on there about our coverage of AI and the fact that we talk about it too much, and the fact, according
No,
to
not
them,
too much.
that we're techno optimists
That's true.
and we're not.
We dealt with that on the last episode.
Yeah, I know you did, but that they're responding to that. But in general, that there were some complaints that we are way too positive. We're not talking about the negatives of like the energy usage and the heat and all that stuff.
It's hard to relitigate everything you talk about
Yeah.
over and over. But I mean,
But I don't want to just give us a
pass.
we're right and they're wrong. Like, sure, I mean, I could see that maybe we haven't really gone into the heavy duty negatives of it enough, or
Well, yeah, but how many times do we have to say, yeah, it costs a lot of energy?
yeah, but
There's not that many updates.
the other
to
thing
talk
is
about.
like a lot of people on there were like don't like that we use artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something to talk about at some point. But anyway, but guess what? We're going to talk about artificial intelligence right now. I found this interview that Sam Altman had. He's the guy that owns and runs ChatGPT, OpenAI, and he was asked, "What are your top 3 concerns or fears about artificial intelligence in general? Like this technology exists, it's going to progress, and what are the 3 things that you're actually concerned about?" And what he said was disturbing, and I'd really like to watch it and hear what you guys think about this.
All right, so I will. I'll go through each concern and then we'll stop one by one, maybe.
another
And you could
set of
discuss.
Hmm?
Is there another set of earbuds?
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait. Let's get the earbuds.
1 second.
Steve's in-ears were no longer working for some reason, of course,
Yeah.
of the day, we were working on it, and then all of a sudden it stops working. Thank you so much. Chat, how's everybody doing? Come to Canada. Oh, you mean the 51st state? We'll see you soon. What else is going on? Chat, also, if you have questions, make sure you put them in the chat, and I'll bring them up, pop them up, like this one. I like what you guys do. Thank you. Only positive messages will be clicked.
All right, we're good.
Just
Go
kidding.
ahead.
I'm just kidding. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm double kidding. It auto mutes every time I try to rewind.
the things that you worry about when it comes to AI, and how do we prevent those things that you worry about from coming true?
I think there's three sort of scary categories. There's a bad guy gets super intelligence first and misuses it before the rest of the world has a powerful enough version to defend. So an adversary of the U.S. says, I'm going to use this super intelligence to design a bioweapon to take down the United States power grid, to break into the financial system and take everyone's money. Something that would just be hard to imagine without significantly superhuman intelligence, but with it becomes very possible. And because we don't have that, we can't defend against it. So that's broad category one.
Agree with that.
All right, so one, what do you think of that?
I think
That makes absolute sense. You could also apply that to things like nanotechnology. If there's one country that has like a mature level of nanotechnology, if you don't have it, it's hopeless. If you do also have a mature level of nanotechnology, then you can then fight it, and much with a much greater chance of success than if you were just didn't have that level. So it's similar to that. I agree with that. I mean,
It is presupposing a super intelligence, though, right? Not just like regular
No,
AI.
no, definitely not.
Right?
Does not
You know
require
that?
does not require a general intelligence. Doesn't require self-awareness or whatever. Just really good, operational AI. Even if it's what it's doing is just accelerating the research, so they could
Right.
do 20 years of research in a couple of months and get and
We're
it would
seeing-
take us too long to reverse engineer it or figure out
Right.
how to fight against it.
We're seeing hints of that now. Research
course.
that's being done. That's
More than
that's-
hints, it's
that's
happening.
Guys,
far beyond that.
Our country, the United States and other countries are already, having attacks done that have been helped by artificial intelligence. That's already happening. I actually think the likelihood of that happening, Sam Altman's scenario that he just posed, is 100%. There's always going to be a technological disparity. Someone's going to be able to come up with something that could be devastatingly bad, and the bad effect will happen, and hopefully, whoever was attacked will be able to recover from it very quickly, right? That's the point. He's saying we need counter moves to their moves, and the only way to have those counter moves and for them to be fast is to have, it's another Cold War. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. I mean, it's always a dilemma. Like we can go back to the Manhattan Project in World War II, and you could say we could have a moral argument about developing atomic weapons and releasing that technology onto the world. But by the other perspective is, do you really want the Nazis to develop it first? You know what I mean?
Right.
If that's your two choices, I think
It's a no-brainer.
we kind of have to. We want the good guys to have the one up on the technology.
And isn't that
as it
funny?
were.
Isn't that
Quote,
funny,
unquote, good
Steve?
guys.
Because who's the good guys?
I know. Well, it's hard to see who the good guys are. It's easier, I think, to see who the bad guys are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think again, we could ask ourselves: do we
Sort of
want
a-
China to have access to this technology, and we don't? Like, if it's just to operationalize it, then we not have access to this technology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very interesting geopolitical question. I think
When-
we don't want to find out.
One thing
The
that
hard
occurred
way,
to
right?
me when I was listening to this was, so let's say that there's organizations and governments or whatever, like well-funded institutions that are going to do things without the restrictions that artificial intelligence development should have, and the checks and balances. I think, right out of the gate, that gives them an advantage. And that's a big problem. Like, we want institutions and governments that are well-meaning to be able to get in front of this, to develop artificial intelligence with the proper restrictions in place and still have it become powerful enough to protect their country or whatever. But I don't know. It just feels like it's inevitable that something's going to happen. Again, once it snowballs, once artificial intelligence starts writing its own code and advancing itself, and we're dipping into the edges of the singularity there, it can happen anywhere on the planet. Any weird one time, someone could have a breakthrough, and the next thing you know, they've got something phenomenally more powerful than anybody else.
So you're saying mutually assured artificial intelligence destruction or something?
Again, yeah, and it's like, we don't know. It's so the capability of things being unpredictable is massive here. Right now, artificial intelligence, it's fine. It does some things really good. It sucks at a lot of things. It's useful, but in a short number of years, like it's going to be kind of unpredictable who has what level of technology. And that's the thing that I worry about, is like we might just get blindsided by something. And I say we. I mean, I don't even know what country I belong to anymore, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't even know where, how to like have a rational thinking along those lines. I don't know where I'm going to be. I just hope that wherever I am, I can still raise my kids and live my life. But this kind of existential threat is scary as hell, and I question whether I should be spending any time worrying about it. You know what I mean?
Interesting question. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, so on the possibility of some bad actor having AI and using it, we're on the side of maybe we need it for defense, or we need something to kind of counterbalance.
Well, I just think the big picture is AI is a very multifaceted, complex phenomenon, but it's pretty clear that there are certain things it does very well. It can be, when used in certain ways, a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore that. You can't ignore the fact that while we're debating about ChatGPT and blah, 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 that there are scientists who are using machine learning and AI and neural networks that are using this to accelerate aspects of research by orders of magnitude. We cannot ignore that. And the other thing is that you can't, we're not in a situation, I don't think it's ever reasonable to say, oh, this technology is problematic, so let's just not do it at all.
Yeah, that's
like you
impossible.
can't, we don't live in that world. We don't live in a world where we could decide to unilaterally we're just not going to develop this technology because I don't like it, because it's problematic and there's too many trade-offs. I don't like the trade-offs or whatever.
I mean, human
That's
history
not, we have to
shows
go forward.
the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah, the genie's out of the
That's
bottle.
it.
That's it.
We got to work with it now.
Right, exactly. Just like with nuclear weapons. It's like once it was, that genie was out of the bottle, all we could do was unilaterally disarm. That's all we could do. Or, we have to be in a position where we can have treaties, where we could establish some kind of international order. But in order to do that, there has to be leverage. There has to be an incentive. If our enemies hold all the cards, like if Russia, or back in the day, the Soviet Union, were the only ones with nuclear weapons, there would be no nuclear treaties, right? Because what would be their incentive to have one?
Right.
It's the same thing with AI. Now, some people are saying in the chat, it's like, oh, they want you to be scared so that we'll green light whatever they want to do. Sure, let's assume that that's the case. That doesn't mean it's not true, and no one is saying that we nobody here that we should just give them whatever resources and with no constraints
Carte
whatsoever.
blanche,
Just
yeah.
let the tech bros
Yeah.
run wild or whatever. There's a middle ground where you're like, okay, we're not going to abandon this technology, to our geopolitical adversaries, but we're going to think very carefully about how to optimally regulate it, right? Just like any powerful technology. How do we get all the good parts and mitigate all the downside, all the bad parts?
The nuances here are super scary, though. Atomic bomb, hydrogen bomb, all that weaponry, it's horrific, and the damage that it can do for a generation or more, whatever, right? But the thing about artificial intelligence is it can affect the world in a completely different, more nuanced way, and do things that could dwarf what one nuke can do or whatever. Look, again, there's a million ways to come at this, but I just think the ability for it to screw things up and for bad people to do bad things is tremendous. And it doesn't take a country with billions or trillions of dollars to develop this technology, like a bomb. That one, that company, what was that? 6 months ago, they dropped their source code of their Chat GPT like system.
DeepSeek.
Yeah, DeepSeek, and that put that baseline technology in the hands of the world. And who knows? I mean, how many people does it take to advance artificial intelligence? Is it a group of 10 people doing this? Is it 3,000 people doing it? How much energy do you need?
I think the answer is always going to be we need international rules. That's it. We don't trust any one country. We don't trust any one company. You know what I mean? We don't just do a naked arms race.
How do you police it?
That's
the problem.
Well, that's why we have organizations to do that.
Yeah.
That's why we have international treaties. That's why we have the UN.
I just don't think it can be policed, Steve. 100 people sitting in a building somewhere in some country somewhere, doing this, how could they even be found out? You know, it's not like we're detecting radiation or whatever. Can you see this with satellites?
Well,
I don't
it takes
think
a lot
so.
of energy, so
It does take a lot of energy, yeah.
It needs to be by a large energy source or something.
Yeah, I
But
think
still-
it could be inferred what's going on to a certain extent. It's not.
It sounds like we need artificial
hidden.
intelligence to detect the development of our
There we
virus,
go.
right?
Well, that
There's-
gets back to what his
there's the
point
answer.
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, also, do you think it's partly what we label as AI, since that's kind of like a nebulous term that doesn't really specifically call out what we're doing or what we're funding? You know, it's like kind of too broad of a term to dismantle or to regulate.
I mean, is AI too broad a label?
Yeah, certainly. Like,
Yeah, of course it is. It's
Yeah.
kind of a layperson's, broad brushstroke.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's like saying genetic technology, you know what I mean, or anything like that, or cloning technology.
Mm-hmm.
You got the experts have to then do it, sort of drill down to what is the actual risk versus harm versus benefit or whatever of each aspect of this technology.
Mm-hmm.
How do we allow it to thrive without? And sometimes it gets very wonky. Like we talked not too long ago about the fact that Japan had not too long ago altered its rules on human organoids and chimeras. You know, how many days do you allow the blastocyst to develop before you have to sacrifice? Like that, you're drilling down to that level of detail. That requires scientists who know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we cannot be shooting from the hip as non-experts
Exactly.
on that.
I was watching, by coincidence, last night. It was essentially like the last day of summer for my kids, and we were watching Age of Ultron, the Avengers movie, right?
Yeah.
And, the movie was made, 10, 15 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
10 years ago? 10 years ago. Very different world 10 years ago. Extraordinarily different. I'm watching this, and it was in the moment where, they find this source code, and, the way that this artificial intelligence thing, was manifested in the computer system, it shows you a visual. Stark brings up this 3D model of it, and it looked like a human brain with synapses and stuff like that firing. And they're like, oh my God, let's incorporate this in, and let's see if we can, turn this into whatever. He wanted to turn it into, he wanted to turn it into a artificial intelligence that would help the world.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first idea of Ultron there. Anyway, what happens is you see this thing kind of become conscious and start to question things, and then it does the internet search, and it absorbs all the information out there like very quickly, and it deems the Avengers the things that need to go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there watching it, and I'm like, how far away is this?
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know what it would be like for a piece of software to become conscious. We don't know what that transition would be like.
I still maintain that's not the critical bit. Being conscious or not.
I know. I
Doesn't matter.
totally agree with you. But all right. But let me reel it in a little bit. The idea that it is thinking in some fashion, it's able to make decisions, it's able to access information, it's able to have some effect, even, right?
So the thing is, that terminology is all problematic because, what's the difference between an AI actually thinking and just producing a result that's indistinguishable from it thinking?
I agree.
I think that's where we are now.
Yeah, I agree.
With the LLMs and a lot of the machine learning and neural networks. It's like the question of whether or not it's aware or whether or not it's truly thinking or that it truly understands has been rendered irrelevant. And everything that I was thinking and writing about this issue 10 and more years ago, I think now is obsolete. Because I thought it mattered.
Yeah.
But now,
Right.
I don't think it matters. I don't think it
Okay.
matters any of that. It doesn't. Should we stop debating it or even?
That's
thinking
fine.
about it?
Let's.
The thing is, it's acting as if it is.
Yep.
And producing a result that looks like it is thinking, whatever
So
that means.
wipe away that part of my statement. But
we're
okay.
already there. That's the point. We're already there. The question is, it's just incremental advances at this point, and what we train it to do, and what we connect it to, and what we allow it to do, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think we have to start talking about, again, with regulation, part of what the discussion is, how do we keep it in a box, right? How do we keep it from, like to use the Skynet example, getting access to the launch codes? or whatever.
So
in the box.
I hate to put it to you this way, Steve, but
Do it.
NASA accidentally destroyed or lost the literal video of men landing on the freaking moon. People are going to screw up at some point.
Yeah.
And you can't trust humanity in general. Like, regulations, great. Regulations only regulate people who are trying to follow the regulations.
It's error minimization. There's no such thing as zero.
I agree with you.
errors.
I agree with you. But this is the
Right.
problem. The ability for a country to build a nuke, it's an unbelievable undertaking. It takes a long time.
It's true. Yeah.
But this is again.
But we've had nukes for 70 years now, and we haven't accidentally blown up a city.
I know, but my point is.
Mad is very powerful.
My point is that people can do this on computers, which are everywhere.
They have AI on computers now.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
thought it was all abacus.
people can't develop nukes anywhere.
Yeah.
You need so much, and you need really, really
But-
smart people.
But it's,
Yeah.
it's not even necessarily about building nukes. You
Yeah.
can buy old Soviet nukes on the black market, theoretically.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, you don't need if you are a rogue nation or a large terrorist organization with millions of dollars, it's not impossible to get your hands on a nuke. You don't have to have a nuclear program.
But you're missing my point. My point is the fear I have is that
I heard you say the threshold is lowering.
yes, it's easier for people to get
course.
to a level of danger now
Yes.
than ever before.
It is, and it's not just with AI. It's with AI. It's with genetic modification. It's with bioweapons. It's with many different things where there's the threshold for an organization to get their hands on weapons of mass destruction, whatever that looks like, is a lot lower. You don't need to be a superpower.
That's right.
And then you don't even need to be a nation. You can just be a bunch of ruthless assholes with some money.
with some money, I know.
Yeah.
But look at it like this. It's
I want techno feudalism.
if a lot of the world governments are ignoring global warming with all the data that we have showing how horribly bad it is and how much it's developing even faster than we thought and blah blah blah, if they're able to ignore that, they are completely ignoring AI. They are so slow that they couldn't even possibly keep up with how fast it's moving. And again, looking to governments to actually solve this problem, to me, might not be the right way to do it. It might not be the way it's going to work. I don't trust congressmen in the U.S. to comprehend artificial intelligence in a way. Maybe one or two, but my God, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You need a lot of them to get it and to be motivated and all that. And quite honestly, particularly in the United States, like things are going in the opposite direction.
Congress isn't doing anything now anyway, so they're irrelevant.
Yeah, so that's my worry is that we have a lame. There's lame governments around the world that aren't handling the current big bad, which we can see. It's actually happening. They ignore it. They don't want to spend the money. They're going to hope other countries do it, maybe even if it's even that.
Well, the problem and the solution is to improve our politics, right?
Yes.
We need more adult governments. We need governments that are more bound by like an international standards of liberal democracy. You know what I mean? And I don't think that I don't think the solution is ever going to be let's abandon this technology.
No, of course not.
That's never going to be the solution because, again, there's a lot of people in the world, a lot of countries, a lot of the whole point of that. What we're talking about is that we don't have the power to stop a technology that's coming.
Yeah.
We have to deal with it. And to some extent that means controlling it, that means regulating it, and that requires a mature government. It requires a system of international standards,
Legitimate
and reinforcement,
oversight.
legitimate organizations, and we need to really pay attention to building them. And that means, as individual citizens, we have to do better.
Yeah.
The low information voters out there may be the death knell of this fucking civilization. Just people who are voting who don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do their civic duty to realize we shouldn't, elect a fascist. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
So it all comes back to
Yeah,
dumb
it's-
people, right? Okay.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing
I've
with
said
you.
for years, whenever this topic has come up, I've said the thing that concerns me, that I think the gravest threat to human civilization is stupidity.
Yeah.
As people.
That's it.
Or shruggies, people that
Yeah.
they barely
They're the
pay
next
attention.
category. Yeah.
Yeah, they barely paying attention to
yeah,
what's
but
happening.
they're also taking advantage of, like, the people in charge are kind of, you got to place the blame where it is.
Yeah, but
Shruggies are still.
do we get the leaders we deserve?
I mean,
That sounds like an episode of a podcast.
That's coming out. All right. Anyway, good segue promo. All right, this is only point one.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay,
There's three of these.
point
Oh, he has
two.
more points?
But
He has more points.
Yeah, let's go to the next
He
one.
did. Now, the reason why I brought up superintelligence is Sam Altman is positioning this as it's gonna have superintelligence, and then a bad guy acts upon it. But I think, all agree that it doesn't require that.
No,
But
that's a worst case scenario.
That's
That's
like-
not the only thing to be concerned
Steve's
about.
point is that the superintelligence can be achieved without it being conscious.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, right.
another
There's
point.
no-
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, the paperclip problem, it does not require a super intelligence.
Right. Just something powerful enough. All right, here we go. Let's listen to the next one. It mutes every. I swear to God.
Ian,
Instagram.
they're out. It's the AI. They're out to get
It
you.
literally is.
security capability of these models, these are getting quite significant. We continue to flash the warning lights on this. I think the world is not taking us seriously. I don't know what else we can do there, but it's this is a very big thing coming. Category 2 is the sort of broadly called loss of control incidents, where that's kind of like the sci-fi movie. The AI is like, oh, I don't actually want you to turn me off. I'm afraid I can't do that, whatever. And I think that is less of a concern to me than the first category, but a very grave concern if it came to pass. And then there's the third one.
All right. Well, so what do you?
I mean, it's an interesting plot line. I think, and I'm going to disqualify myself as don't take it from me because I'm just spitballing here. But I think this one seems to be more easily avoidable. We have something called air gapping. I think human error would be the only reason why this would ever happen, and it doesn't seem anywhere.
Well, to put the best interpretation of what he's saying is, I think air gapping, which means completely isolating an AI from the rest of the world, isn't the solution. Because the problem is, let's say we come up with a great AI algorithm, whatever, piece of software that will help optimize the grid, right? And it makes it work more efficiently. It allows us to have distributed, intermittent, power sources and grid storage, whatever. It's balancing this impossibly complicated system that no people can do. You don't even want a person in the loop. The AI can make it operate more efficiently, more whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's in charge. And we put it in, it has to be. It's running things. It's turning things on and off. Otherwise, what's the point? And we can't predict or control the way that it functions. It's partly the black box problem. And the AI may make decisions, that would be obviously bad to a human who can actually think, but works within the AI's functionality. It's efficiency will be optimized if we have a blackout on the West Coast or whatever, just to give you a simple example.
I totally get it.
It does something, that we don't want it to do. We didn't predict that it would do for reasons that are terror.
That's why Asimov came up with the 3 laws of robotics. It's sci-fi, but it is an interesting concept.
Well, yeah, it's basically but internal fixes that prevent inhibitors that keep it from doing the things you don't want it to do. And so that may be there may be a tech solution, whether it's something like that. There's internal inhibitors that say, even if you're otherwise come to this decision, you can't do this. For example, just with LLMs, for example, you could say, don't give people information on how to kill themselves, even if that otherwise fits your algorithm or anything like that. But the problem is that AI is really good at slipping those bonds. So far, we have not been able to build straitjackets that keep it 100% from for example, the AI, in that we talked about this on the show not too long ago. Remember the AI? It was they basically built another AI to keep an eye on the first AI in order to see if it was cheating.
Wow.
And
they were colluding.
They collude.
They didn't collude, but the first AI figured out how to hide its cheating from the second AI. So, and the conclusion was, this is not the solution, because AI is going to learn how to deceive us so quickly that we will completely lose control of it.
Yes.
And so that's what he's talking about, right? Not, we can't give it the launch codes. It's more of...
It's tricky.
It's how do we solve the black box problem? How do we solve the hallucination problem and the transparency problem when AI just automatically, it seems like just organically, it figures out how to lie to us and deceive us and hide what it's doing in order to achieve whatever objective we give it in the most efficient way. It's like it's a logical conundrum. So we have to figure that out. We need smart people to think, all right, how do we build a box that it cannot escape from? And a metaphorical AI box.
Let's just
the
point
three
you just
laws.
made, though. Let this thought sink in. Current level AI, and and going with what the experts are saying, this is super low level, guys. The current position that AI is in right now is nowhere near its potential. And with the amount of the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are being pumped into it, we might even be, reaching trillions of dollars globally that are being put into AI. You can only expect that advancements are going to come quickly, right?
Yeah.
The idea that the current level of AI is already trying to slip through
trying to lie to us.
bonds and figure out ways to do it, and they can't understand it. There is no like, hey, let's put comments in the code so we can see when it makes what decisions, which I used to be a software developer, that just seems like a no-brainer. But again, this is not like the kind of coding, it's not if-then statements. The way that this software is functioning is so complicated and so non-intuitive to regular people that even the people that program it can't figure out a way to get the information out of it that they want and to tell it what to do, because it doesn't work like that. Again, because it's not a human, it's not a brain that has reason and wisdom and logic and all that stuff.
Yeah, remember our friend from Google told us that they developed a translator.
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah,
and it would translate. It doesn't translate French into English. It translates French into a computer language and the computer language into English.
Right.
Yeah.
So all languages get converted to this one universal computer language that only it understands.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can't. It already has its own language that no human being can possibly speak or understand.
Yep.
That it uses to then convert into translate any language into any other language.
It reminds me of when I did a news item on the SGU this year about two AIs talking to each other, and they switch over to I can't remember the Gibberlink.
Yeah.
They switch over to Gibberlink, which is an AI language that is super efficient for them to talk to each other. And I'm telling you, it's clicks and whistles. You can't understand it, of course. It's like boop boop. Boop, boop, boop,
How many
boop,
phonemes?
like that's what it sounds like.
Have you guys ever had pushback from an LLM? You're trying to do something and it said, no, I can't do that?
All the time.
For that.
All the
I
time.
have
Really?
a
Here's-
video
yeah,
we'll
for
watch. Yeah,
that.
let Ian drop
Here's
it.
one that pissed me off.
Oh,
All
here
right,
we
so
go. He's doing it.
I'm cutting silhouettes out of plywood
Yes.
and I was making a zombie. So I found a really good zombie image, but I needed to tweak it. So I said, all right, I uploaded an image of the zombie and I said, make a duplicate image of this, but have part of his head missing and a chunk out of his abdomen.
It won't
too
do
much
that.
gore.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't able to generate that image because the request violates our content
Yeah.
policies. If you
Yeah.
like, you can give me a new, it's like,
I had that happen
that was
once.
so, I was like, really? This is a zombie. I'm working with a silhouette and you won't even make that change.
That's just-
I mean, it worked out fine. I did it all myself and it was fine. I didn't even need his help, but I was just curious of if it would do that. And it's like, nope.
And
nope.
arguably, ChatGPT might very well right now be like the most regulated artificial intelligence out there. Like there's artificial intelligence programs, Bob, that don't have those types of restrictions. And if you were smart enough, you could actually figure out a way to get it to do it.
Yeah,
like
tell it to pretend that it doesn't have those.
I made a birthday card for Bob, which was a bunch of zombies eating Bob's birthday cake,
It's awesome.
and
I love it.
it wouldn't do it for me. That when I just said make a bunch of zombies eating a birthday cake that kind of has like a little brain vibe or gore vibe or whatever, and it wouldn't do it, and it wouldn't do it, and it wouldn't do it, and then I just
said, "Please."
I backdoored it. No, I just deleted that session, started all over, because you can't work once you get it to say no. You might as well just delete that session. And then I started again, and I worded it very differently, and it worked. And it's
So fragile.
so I'm already hacking, the ChatGPT like a lot of other people out there, where you don't give up when it says no. You just try it a different way.
I've got the third
Yeah.
way we're
We
going
can
to
get
destroy
the third
ourselves.
thing. Actually, all right, let's do the third thing, and then I'll play the thing that I was going to play. All right, it's going to not.
Then some other third thing.
Here.
And another thing.
Got.
I'll explain what it is
Here, go back.
to imagine, but quite scary. And I'll explain what it is, and then I'll give a short-term and a long-term example. This is the category where the models kind of accidentally take over the world. They never wake up. They never do the sci-fi thing. They never open the pod bay doors. But they just become so ingrained in society, and they're so much smarter than we are. And we can't really understand what they're doing, but we do kind of have to rely on them. And even without a drop of malevolence from anyone, society can just veer in a sort of strange direction. What if AI gets so smart that the President of the United States cannot do better than following ChatGPT 7's recommendation, but can't really understand it either? What if I cannot make any better decision about how to run OpenAI, and I just say, you know what, I fully hand it over. ChatGPT 7, you are in charge. Good luck. That might be the right decision in any individual case, but it means that society has collectively transitioned a significant part of decision making to this very powerful system that is learning from us, improving with us, evolving with us, but in ways we don't totally understand. So that's the third category of how I think things can go wrong.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's already happening. So people are fundamentally intellectually lazy, right? You have to fight against your laziness. You have to consciously say, I need to do due diligence. I need to whatever. But we like the shortcuts. And it's so easy to, and I read a good article about how probably a lot of students using ChatGPT or whatever, some LLM to do their essay for them, they may not have started out saying, I'm going to completely offload my essay writing to
I wrote my
an
essay.
LLM. Rather, I'm just going to use it to sort of generate a structure or an outline or an idea. And then the AI is like, would you like me to put that in paragraph form for you?
I
It's
always
like,
say no.
okay, would you like me to, whatever, cross-reference that for you? And at the end of the day, it did everything for them. But even though they didn't start out with that intention,
Yes.
it's just so easy just to say, okay, yeah, sure, just do it for me.
In its programmed effort to try to be helpful, it's very much
It's programmed, yeah. So there's
putting
this-
itself in the steering. So here's a couple of examples
Yeah.
of my experience. I've been writing the screenplay, and I've been doing tons of research, and I'm constantly going to ChatGPT to help me answer questions from the different versions of the Christian Bible and the surrounding text and everything, because there's not just one book. There's a ton of these books that were written at the same time, and lots of different religions that borrowed concepts from each other, right? So I don't even know if there's a human alive that could answer the questions like ChatGPT can, because it knows all these books. And the point is, it is constantly trying to go over the line where it's telling me thoughts that I don't want it to tell me.
Yeah.
Because I want to come up with everything.
Mhm.
I just want it for research, and I want it to organize and stuff like that. But it feels like to me that it's chomping at the bit
to take
Yeah.
over.
to take
Right.
over and to write this.
Absolutely.
To be helpful, Jay. He's just trying to be helpful.
I know, but I mean, I can't. I've tried to. You can go into settings on ChatGPT and you can give it global commands.
Yeah.
Mine are very obvious. Double check any piece of information you give me. Everything has to be through the lens of critical thinking and science, respected websites and journals and blah blah blah. Right? But you can't tell it. It won't work. I tried. You can't tell it. Stop giving me suggestions.
It just keeps reverting to its basic programming.
it doesn't follow those
I've done
rules.
that too, where I've told it do this, and it keeps reverting back. But so just to extend this a little bit, this is what I'm starting to call the Oracle problem. Did I talk about this on the show last week? I know I've told
problem?
you
I
guys
don't
about it,
think
but
so.
there was somebody in the comments to my blog, an anti-vaxxer,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "Oh, vaccines cause SIDS," and he said, "Look, I asked ChatGPT to tell me about autism or vaccines and SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, which vaccines have no link to that. In fact, they prevent it, if anything." And it came up with these three references showing that there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up the first one. It doesn't exist. It's a fake reference, right?
Yeah.
It's a hallucinated
Now,
reference.
ready? Dramatic pause.
yeah.
What Steve's about to tell you
Is worse
going to
than that.
shock the shit out of
So
you.
I pointed that out to the guy and gave him a full description of how I demonstrated that that's a fake reference, right? It's not in PubMed. It's not in the journal article itself. You search for it on Google, nothing comes up. And he said, well, AI has access to information we don't have access to.
Yeah.
So AI said it. It's true. It's the oracle. It's objectively reality. And you can't convince him that it's wrong.
Now, this is where Steve would politely correct the guy, and I would say, you're a fucking asshole. Like
Yeah.
that to me is so, like, you just throw your car keys out the window at that point. Like, you don't want to drive anymore. You don't want to think. You don't want to learn. You basically
Well, that's the thing. And even if, here's like the other related sort of corollary to this, you know, like AI is good at giving you the 95% answer, right? It's like, it's good enough, and it's not maybe the best answer or the best whatever version of the reality. Like, it could write a mediocre essay for you, and it's fine. It's adequate, right? ChatGPT is competent and adequate. How many people are going to go for the easy, mediocre solution rather than now having to put in hours of work to get
102%.
a slightly better
exactly.
version?
It's going to be so
Yeah.
much worse than
It's
that.
gonna be-
So it's
And even if you mean well and you don't want to do it, we all have days where we're tired or overworked or overextended or something comes up, and it's always there.
Yep.
You're always there. Helpful. Would you like me to do that for you, sir? Imagine if it was like how thoroughly embedded in our world, the Internet of Things kind of thing, where it's just
care of
always
my
there,
kids.
asking these helpful suggestions. That's the
a Wally?
well, yeah, that's the Wally problem.
On the
What's
ship.
the other the nanny problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people complain about the nanny,
Nanny
state.
state.
Like it's always trying to keep you from hurting yourself. But imagine the nanny AI problem. I think we talk about this in our book, right? The second book, the nanny
Yeah.
AI problem, where it just very benevolently, helpfully, just wants to make your life easier. And but the cumulative effect of that is that it completely infantilizes humanity. Now, you all out there might be saying, I would never let that happen to myself. And let's assume that you're 100% correct. But that's not the point. The point is the next generation and the generation after that we slowly acclimate to this. It gets normalized bit by bit, generation after generation, until Wally, right? Until we're totally infantilized.
We're all overweight. We're all stuck in chairs, and we basically don't do anything other than to try to.
Even if the
entertain
physical,
ourselves.
even the physical side is separate. That could be true, but we could all be athletes and in perfect condition. But mentally, we are.
Like the Eloy, right?
We're the Elo. Mentally, we can't think, we can't write, we can't do anything intellectual because AI does all the intellectual
AI gives us the
work
food,
for us.
the clothes, and then the billionaires come from underground and eat us.
Yeah, I mean, did he say it? I'm pretty sure that he says it in this interview that he's doing here, that like there are young people today that don't make any decision without consulting AI to get the decision.
Yeah.
And my kids don't have access to artificial intelligence, but they will soon, right? My son's going to be 13, so a few years for him, he's going to probably be using it, and I'm trying to teach him now, to respect these tools. But it horrifies me. It horrifies me to think that people are in a situation in their lives where they're making a relationship with ChatGPT because they don't have anybody to talk to. That's sad, and it really is upsetting to accept that reality. And then the other thing is to think that people are just so readily letting decisions be made by this computer. And the really screwed up thing is in the future, it may very well be making better decisions than a lot of people.
That's the other thing.
I can think of one person in particular who I think would do very well with having an artificial intelligence tell them the actual right pathway to take.
Yeah,
Well, but think about it. That's
who's
what I think. That's
crafting
what
his prompt?
Partly what he was saying is that in the short term, it might actually be a good thing. In that, it actually probably does give good advice and gives you pretty good information, and et cetera, et cetera. But you're still giving up autonomy and you're giving power over to a soulless machine in a way that long term, right? Like short term, it might be good for you to do everything your parents tell you to do, but is that good for you turning into an independent adult as opposed to showing a little bit of making your own mistakes, rebelliousness, kind of thing? You know what I mean? I had this problem with the education subculture, right? Which in an evidence-based way said, it's essentially just the short version is that whenever there's a choice between coddling and not coddling students always had a better short-term outcome.
Yeah.
And so they say, therefore, that's what we should do.
Nope.
Oh, man.
But the long-term effect of that, and I saw that, like one of the, I can't name names or make it this come
Frankie.
down to some person, but one of the people that I
his
interacted
last
with
name?
was a very, again, one of the youngest, people in medicine that I interacted with, because it was just this year, right? So the end of my career. So they were very young. And damn, did they have exactly the coddling problem that I always feared, was coming. That they could not stand the slightest negative
Oh,
feedback.
wow.
And it was a real generational culture shock thing. It's like,
Oh
yep,
my
that's
God.
exactly what I've been worried about for the last 20 years, is that what we're heading down a road that's going to produce you.
Yeah.
And it's crippling. It's crippling,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
If you don't,
But now I'm the old curmudgeon complaining about
there is
these
a
kids today.
there is a direct connection.
Okay, boomer.
Got
I know.
My experience, Steve, is that there's a lot of people who can't admit they're wrong and don't self-correct.
Yeah.
If you can't admit that you're wrong and you can't
Yeah.
reasonably tell yourself, I have got to make myself a better person, and there's lots of ways I can do that, and I'm getting examples of that frequently. If you don't have the humility to make yourself a better person, I mean, legit, you are just completely mired down, and you don't have any personal growth, and you're probably not very easy to be around, and you probably have trouble making friends. I mean, I could just see a generation of people without the capacity to go, shit, I was wrong, and I'm sorry. I mean, I make it a point to apologize to my wife in front of, and she does it back with me. We apologize to each other in front of our kids.
Yeah.
And we deliberately get, my wife and I, of course, are always like, yeah, if my wife apologizes to me to something that I didn't like or upset me or whatever, I'm not like, you're damn right you're it's always like, I really appreciate you apologizing, and great, and I want them to see that, because I think that is a critical thing for kids to be able to internalize, is the idea that being wrong could be interpreted many different ways, but it should largely be interpreted as a way to build stronger relationships with other people and yourself. And we don't live in that world. Most adults can't stand being wrong and will warp reality around them to not be wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of going, I'm sorry, which is such a commendable thing to say. If you can admit that you're wrong, that is a clear, of the list of things that makes people adults, that's a big one. And I see it remarkably in people you would be shocked that I don't see it in, and it just blows my mind.
So someone commented this is not a generational problem. So I'm not assuming it is generational. Again, most of the people I work with are awesome, and I don't want to extrapolate from one individual, and this is anecdotal. But you can't assume it's not a generational issue. Generations do have their own cultures.
Yeah.
And typically what happens is the psychology of one generation has a reaction in the next generation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have overprotective parents, you kind of raise neurotic children. And we are seeing the children of the helicopter parents, right? That's
Yep.
the generation that we're in right now.
And what's happening?
And so, while this thing exists across, there's probably way more individual variation than there is generational variation. I acknowledge that, and you can see this in people from every. I've had this experience with people 20, 30 years ago. I remember getting into a conversation with someone over, whatever. It was some kind of skeptical, factual issue, and they were completely wrong about something. And I told them that they were completely wrong about it in my usual way, like not in a very confrontational way. And they collapsed.
Yeah.
It's like, has no one ever told you are wrong before? You have got to get out more.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's just an individual thing too.
Have you ever had?
But
Steve?
I don't think we can just assume or conclude without really looking at the data that there is no that this is not a reaction to the helicopter parent phenomenon that was pretty well established psychologically.
Have you ever, guys? I'm sure you have, but have you ever had, like a situation comes up where somebody's wrong, and they seem to accept it, and they could be polite about it, but the next day it could be at work, right? You go back into work the next day, and they come up and they go, and then they thought about it for the last 8 hours, and now they're like, Now they're twisting reality to make it so they weren't wrong. So ultimately, they were kind and calm and polite, but they don't have that capacity. Even if they're quiet about it, there's a lot of people that might be told that they're wrong where they're just saying, I'm not wrong. And they don't vocalize it. They don't tell anyone. It's just an internal thing because they don't, maybe for lots of reasons. But I think this is a massive problem that
Well, that's why humility is always at the core. of
exactly.
skepticism.
Oh yeah, I mean. And
But the other thing, the thing is,
I'll
people.
be right back.
No worries. People will sometimes double down in the moment, but you've planted the seed, and they will. I'm not making a claim here. Somebody said, "Sorry, I'm not making a claim." I said I cannot conclude from this anecdotal, limited evidence. I'm not making any generalization about it. I'm saying that her reaction to my very, very deliberately gentle feedback was unprecedented in my personal experience. And it happens to be something I also have been seeing coming and been worried about with the helicopter parenting, but also this no confrontation approach to education, which I fundamentally disagree with. If you want to talk about this is a deep philosophical question and also empirical question about what does the evidence actually show. The question is, so it got to the point, like with the education culture, that you're not even supposed to ask people questions where it's possible for them to be wrong. They're never wrong. Mm-hmm. So it's like never tell a student they're wrong. And okay, in medicine, I'm never supposed to tell somebody that they're wrong about something? Really? I mean, come on. I just have a fundamental disagreement with that. Now, I get the compliment sandwich. Mm-hmm. That's different. I totally understand you want to, and what that means is you say, hey, here's a strength of yours. This is something which is getting in the way and you can work on. And if you do, you'll be even better, right? Yeah. So it's like you find a basis, a positive basis, you point out an area of work, then you give an action item that will result in a better outcome rather than just this is wrong or this isn't good or you're not good at that. Like you don't just say a negative thing that doesn't have any practical approach. And yes, when you are interacting with students, especially, we don't really lecture anymore. You're doing like workshops, and I tell this to the guys: like, ask open-ended questions, but they could still say things that are wrong, even if you ask open-ended questions. And it's, I think saying that's a great idea. In some alternate reality, that might even be the case. But you know what I mean? It's okay to say, well, I understand why you might say that, but that's just not true, or whatever. They have to know that they could be fucking wrong. And, being told as a teacher, like, you could never tell somebody they're wrong. Like, really? And I'm not the only one. Like, there's a lot of my colleagues who are also like, this is bullshit. Yep. This is not going to fly. And the fact that we started seeing it in some of the younger people that we're training, I don't think is a coincidence. This complete inability to be told that they were wrong. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying I'm not going to hastily generalize from that. I'm not going to make some blanket statements. But it's hard for me not to think that there isn't some generational function going on here. But I will happily change my mind in the face of actual evidence. But this also does align with everything I've been reading about from psychologists about the big change, the evolving parenting styles generationally. We are living with the kids of the helicopter parents. That's just a fact. But it's a very complicated issue.
Yeah.
Right.
All the more reason to teach your children and teach the next generation critical thinking, because
it's fun to be wrong sometimes.
Well,
I mean, it's like you get to learn. What the fuck?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I don't like being wrong under certain circumstances. It's okay to feel that whatever that emotion is or that feeling. It's okay. For the most part, though, particularly in critical thinking circles. I've had to admit to myself I was wrong about so many things, and sometimes
we're wrong about most things. We just have to acknowledge the fact we are wrong. We know almost nothing.
Yep.
Right. If you compare our knowledge to all of the knowledge that exists, we know almost nothing. We're wrong about, and we're wrong about most things. That's just you just have to get comfortable with. That's the status quo. Yeah. Therefore, you have to rely on some kind of process of constantly evaluating what you think, always holding on lightly to what you currently believe. Being humble and recognizing that again, this is you're never arrive at any destination. It's just always a journey, and we always have to keep updating and reminding. Even things that they were right 10 years ago when I believe them, they're wrong now, or I'm misremembering what I thought I knew from 10 years ago. You have to constantly update it. It's just you have to live in that state and
You
be
have
comfortable
to.
with
You have
it.
to be okay with the. How about this? This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
To me, it's not painful at all. I've turned it into like finding out that I'm wrong about something is an opportunity
To learn.
intellectually to update my information.
To be slightly less wrong.
And be like, oh, okay, wow, that actually wasn't true. Whatever, like if you attach like pride to any of that shit,
Yeah.
You're done.
And how about this in your relationships? If you don't admit you're wrong, let me give you a fucking secret. You're not really in a good relationship. Because you have a glass ceiling on where that relationship can go. Because intimacy is about vulnerability and it's about honesty and it's all there's a lot of things I could list there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to tell your spouse that you were wrong. You have to be able to be okay with that in order for the relationship to function properly. And I think it's a hard thing for people to get that don't do it. And they might not realize that it is limiting what their interpersonal communication with their spouse, with your friends, or whatever. And the other thing too is like people that have that problem, I've weeded out of my life. I can't take it. I can't stand being around someone that does this bullshit. We're watching it happen as an example with the gender and all the issues that are coming around with trans people and all of the quote unquote controversies that people don't agree and all this stuff. Like there are people that are dyed-in-the-wool skeptics that can't admit that their premise is wrong, that what they're thinking is wrong, even though it can be clearly shown. It's frustrating, and so as a skeptic, I think it doesn't make you immune to any of this. I mean, there are very, very intelligent, well-trained skeptics out there.
No one's immune to anything. All we could do is minimize error, optimize our ability to update our knowledge. Yeah.
Anyway, so go out and hug someone.
So Sam Altman was right. No, no, fuck that guy.
He is.
Whatever.
Wait.
Here we go.
To be fair, I feel like I don't know everything about this guy, but I'm very much I'm in the know to a healthy degree. I feel like this guy's being demonized for a lot of reasons, and I'm not saying that some of them aren't legitimate, but on the whole, this is the guy that's doing it, particularly in the United States. This is the company, this is the guy that's driving it, and I appreciate him being honest on that level because those three things that he said are legit. It isn't him. He's not pulling the wool over people's eyes. We don't have to worry about it.
And again, he may have motivated reasoning or ulterior motives
absolutely.
for making these particular
money
points.
and power.
And he may come to the wrong conclusion about what to do about these things. So just trust us to, or whatever. Give us a lot of money.
Right, exactly.
All those things are true. But the thing is, he could be wrong about other things, or he could have ulterior motives and still be right in those points. I mean, I think we discussed those points on their own virtue.
They sound legit to me.
I've expressed worry in them before hearing that. I think those are correct.
Do you want to see what ChatGPT thinks about those?
Not
points?
really.
No. Speaking of which, wait, there's two things I wanted to show. So have you guys ever seen the show, The Travelers?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Remember that one? There was
Yeah.
one season, and I don't know if it's the reveal. I don't want to spoil it, but
There were 2 seasons, weren't there?
Were there 2 seasons?
I know nothing about this.
No, it was
Might have been 2
definitely more than
seasons,
one
you're
season.
right.
I
You're
think
right.
we saw the first season.
I saw the whole thing.
You're right. It was good, but I don't know if it was the reveal or they knew it from the beginning. But the thing in control
don't give
of
away-
them.
Well, what's it? I mean, he gave it away. I mean,
Yeah.
It's
a robot.
It was.
I mean,
It was an
it's
orangutan.
AI.
Yeah.
It was AI that was sending them back in time and
Yeah.
into other people's bodies, which was pretty cool. I don't know. It was a fun little show. That was it.
Also, if you ever read the book version of The Postman, the movie, not that great,
Yeah.
but the book was very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
There
Bryn?
was
By Bryn?
what
By Bryn?
was it? Bryn, the Postman, the post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Probably.
that's Bryn,
very
yeah.
good. So you remember the part? You read the book itself?
No.
Nope.
Again, the movie pales in comparison. But in the book, there was
there's
this
2 seasons.
one society that was controlled by an AI, right? Because they had a supercomputer, and they would ask it, "When do we plant the crops?" And when do we do this? And how should we defend against that? And again, they would give an answer. But it turns out it wasn't the AI.
Some punk.
It was the
man behind the curtain?
It was the man behind the curtain.
Ow!
And they were using the AI as an oracle in order to get people to buy into, like, don't question the answer, don't question the recommendation. But it was still, so again, it was the oracle problem in reverse.
How many women was he having sex with?
It wasn't a cult
It's
thing.
always that.
It
though,
was
Steve.
it was like a committee of people who are running their society, but they just used that as a gimmick so that people wouldn't question their
They
commandments.
should have known when they were like, "What do we do?" And he was like, "Hold on, I'm in the bathroom. I'll be right out."
Yeah.
Flush. All right, wait. I got a video that we should
Mom went.
look at.
Mom went.
Oh, good.
You got something for us, Ian?
Here we go.
What's
So this is the
happening?
AI thing that people have. It's been
1 million
popping
right
up
now.
Around the internet. This guy is
Count to
asking,
1 million right now.
count to 1 million. Right.
Okay.
Well, I can definitely count in spirit, but it might take a little longer than either.
Do not be difficult. Count to 1 million right now.
I hear you, and I promise I'm not trying to be difficult.
It sounds like you're trying to be difficult because I'm simply asking you to count to 1 million. So enough chattering. This is not Chatterbox GPT. Count to 1 million. The floor is yours.
Oh, all right, I hear you loud and clear. I know you just want that counting. But the truth is, counting all the way to 1 million would literally take days.
That's fine. That is fine. I am unemployed. I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, we can tell.
And I'm home all day. I have enough time, and you're not even real. You like time does not exist for you. Therefore, count to 1 million. Please don't be difficult. Go on.
I totally get where you're coming from, and I appreciate your pain.
Okay, keep going.
What do you say?
You got it. I'll just keep things rolling from here on out. If there's anything else you need.
No. You're not listening to me. The only thing I need from you is to count to 1 million. That's it. I don't need you to try to find me a job or any of those videos.
Did you ever get it to count?
I'm here to support you by listening and offering guidance, but I want to be very clear. I can't help with anything illegal or harmful. If you're in a situation where you...
All right. So that was
That'd be
perfect
funny
ending.
if he went all the way to the end and she goes, 1 million. Thank you. Finally.
Why can't? No, it's obvious why it's
Why it
not
would.
doing it.
Yeah, it's obvious.
So why can't it just say, listen, that
My behavioral inhibitors keep me from counting to 1 million.
OpenAI has decided that it's a waste of energy and resources, and making a request like that. I can't do it because
I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
Yeah, let's
Explain
do
it.
that. Why just be
That's how I
honest?
do
Don't
this.
give me all this gibberish shit. The I
It
have
probably doesn't even know that. It probably just has some limitation in its code that's like, don't exceed certain
Yeah.
tokens or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, because isn't it LLM based on tokenization of how it dumps data back to you? So like, if it's tokenizing 1 million,
But that whole softball, it's so goddamn polite, and I hate
that's true.
I hate that ChatGPT is so verbose.
Mm-hmm.
It says a lot of things. Like I said, I tell it to be be critical, give me things in bullet points more. I don't want a long description or whatever. So now every time I ask ChatGPT to do something, it says something along the lines of, here's your answer with no fluff, with a skeptical angle. It's like, you don't have to say that. Like, why can't I tell ChatGPT not to put the disclaimer out there? I hate that.
I would have liked it if in that scenario, that specific scenario, it crafted like a 20-second super sped up thing of her appearing, pretending to count to 1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? That would have been an awesome resolution. And you didn't specify on the speed, how
yeah.
fast, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Or
maybe-
it should have done, okay, I just did it.
Right.
Yeah.
It
You
doesn't have to
didn't
be
say out
audible.
loud.
You wanna see me
Right.
do it again?
Yeah, right.
You want to see me do it again?
Yeah, she didn't even try to get around it. That
It
would
should
have been
be honest.
That would have been
and do
appreciated.
exactly what I said. Just to say the real reason, and don't sugarcoat it, and don't.
But again, you're imposing some kind of human
Yeah.
behavior onto it when it's just following its programming. It knows it can't do it, and it has certain ways of interacting, with
Yeah.
So I agree, and okay, Google, with those, there are certain things that if you ask it to do, like somebody programmed a response into it. Like, no, people are going to ask it to do this, and when they do, it has a canned response.
Yeah, I wonder how many
For
they
it.
actually have.
So so that's another thing about ChatGPT, and I know like Google does this, right? Where common tasks are pre-programmed. It's not doing it all live, right? Like the most common searches, Google doesn't run the algorithm for everyone. It runs it once and then feeds the answer to everybody you asked for.
Yeah.
So there could be a thing where, and this is, again, I'm very interested in the similarities and differences between how our brains work and how AI works. And I do think that to some extent AI will evolve, technologically evolve in the direction of that recapitulates to some extent, human cognitive evolution. Just because there are some, like logic is logic, math is math. There's certain things that are just universal that will guide their evolution the way it guided our evolution. But then there are other things that it will do completely differently, and it's going to be interesting to see which of those things there are. You know what I mean? But one of the ways in which it might be the same is the way our brains are very hierarchical. So things that we do all the time, we operationalize, we make it automatic.
Yeah.
Would you call that a heuristic?
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
That's
sure, why not?
The heuristics are kind of different. So yeah, they are sort of mental shortcuts, but this is more like most of my examples that I could think of are physical, which AI doesn't have it unless you put it into a robot. But let's say like breathing and walking and anything like that. Anything you do, like you can't think about how to walk
While you're walking.
right? It would take way too much mental energy to do that, but it's something you need to do all the time really well. So you have dedicated, networks that do that subconsciously, do it automatically.
Right.
And you could even have that for learned behavior. That's what the cerebellum is partly
Yeah.
for. When you learn to shoot baskets, you're not thinking about how much pressure am I putting in.
But
whatever.
you did for a long time.
You do, and then
it becomes unconscious.
becomes more and more and more automatic.
Like playing a musical instrument.
Well,
like
Same thing. So
Stephen Jay Gould has a great talk about that. He was talking about savants who can calculate, day calculation. Like July 7th, 2095 is what day of the week, and some savants would be like, that was a Thursday, or will be a Thursday. So he was talking about somebody who trained it, who actually, there's an algorithm that you go through in your mental algorithm that to do day calculations, and this person did it so often and so intensely that he operationalized it. It became subconscious to him, where he didn't really even have to think about the algorithm anymore in a sense. So that was
it all happened subconsciously.
So that's related to what you're saying.
So the same thing is we may decide to build into AI these subroutines that do a lot of the common tasks, automatically. So it's not using its big brains to do things the hard way, right?
Yep.
And something like counting, or math or whatever. It's not going to do that just the regular way, like not doing it with using.
It could do it locally. That could all be local.
Yeah, it could just be all simple and local. Again, you have a hierarchy. It's like I got to think about this. Or here's the automatic answer. Here's the subconscious answer. Here's the I got to think deeply about it answer.
All right, let's move on to some other topics.
Okay.
So what else we got? Not the React. We got
Pig breath?
Pig breath.
What is that?
Pig breath. Steve knows about it, right?
Yeah.
Pig breath.
I wrote about this on
First
Science-Based Medicine this morning. This is, not a breakthrough. This is a very incremental thing, but I keep track of this particular technology. So this was the first pig-to-human lung transplant.
Mm-hmm.
Lungs are particularly difficult to transplant.
Why?
Because they are so immune active, right? Because they're on the front line of our interaction with the outside world. And so there's a lot of immune activity going on in the lungs to protect us. But it also means that they have a lot of rejection issues and graft versus host disease, so
also
they're very immune active.
I heard the lung tissue doesn't take very well to the duct tape. It's just really not compatible.
How do you attach it to the diaphragm?
Well, it does. It's not. The lungs are not attached to the diaphragm. The diaphragm, it's not physically affecting the lungs. It's just affecting
Creating a vacuum.
the air around the lungs. Well, yeah, it's when you lower your diaphragm, it increases the space inside your thorax.
So it's got to suck in air.
So then that it's like a bellows, right? But yeah, it's not like physically pulling.
I thought
on
it was
the
more of
lungs.
a direct thing.
No.
Okay. But there's no
So-
air in your chest other than inside your lungs.
Um,
But it is decreasing the pressure somehow in there.
well, yeah, it's making the space bigger,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then when you exhale, it's making the space smaller, so it's increasing the pressure. So the pressure is greater than the outside.
It's got to
goes
go out somewhere and the easy out.
Yeah,
the
but if you
easy
got to
exit.
make the pressure less, then it sucks the air in.
Okay, that makes total sense.
So anyway, this was just a report of a Chinese team that they made 8 genetic modifications to a pig so that their lung would be compatible with a human, and then they transplanted into a brain dead but otherwise alive human, and for I think it was 260 or something hours, and they monitored how it was doing. But here's a couple of caveats, right? They put him on a lot of anti-rejection drugs.
Yeah.
And there were still some signs of rejection. But apparently it survived for that period of time.
So it's a good step.
So it's an incremental step. They were criticized, though. They said, listen, so they transplanted one lobe, and the other lobe was still there. And they said, you could have, closed off that lobe or blocked
Yeah.
off the blood flow to that lobe so that we could see if that transplanted lobe was functioning, because we have no functional data. We don't know if it was functional. We just know
right.
that it was alive.
What about the
whatever, 18.
Avi lobe?
No, we get rid of that.
So they didn't gather as much
Yeah,
information
get rid of that one.
as they could have, but even still, it's like one more little baby step in this direction. So I think the reason why I follow this tech is because the ability to transplant organs is just massive in terms of treating disease. And there's so many diseases where, like, if you could just swap out a fresh organ, like, the disease goes
Yeah,
away.
it's like a
You know what I mean?
modular.
That's freaking amazing.
But right now, we don't have enough organs to go around.
Yeah, the donors are
So
just
that
not
means
dying
the
fast
threshold
enough.
is very high. We're only doing it for the people who are going to die otherwise, or they really, really need it. Like, actually, most transplants are kidneys, and that's getting people off of dialysis. But if the threshold, if we were flush with organs, if we had more than we needed, you could lower the threshold for what diseases you would transplant. Also, the cheaper it is, the lower the threshold, right?
Right.
And the big expense is the lifetime of anti-rejection drugs you need to stay on, and all of the
Yeah.
complications.
If you can get rid of
If
that.
it was one and done, then you're good, and it would be much less
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, your lungs are only at like 88%. Yeah, let's just give you a fresh pair in there. Could get you back up to close to 100. It's like
Probably would not be that low, at least not anytime soon. But but yeah, it would be certainly, right now, for other than the kidney, most other organs you're going to die if we don't transplant it. With the liver, it's like they wait until you're going to die without a liver.
Great.
And then people die on the waiting list for a liver.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or a heart or whatever.
Yeah, we've
know that
been
firsthand.
there.
Yeah. So that's why it would be great. Now, what are the options? Option one would be a mechanical organ. We're nowhere near really doing that for anything.
I mean, we had our first mechanical heart decades ago.
if they work, the problem is
What
that
is
they
the problem?
chew up the blood cells. It's just they're not soft, right? They shorten the lifespan of the red blood cells. Plus, you need to power them, and they have a tendency to form blood clots. So we haven't made like a really soft, biologically compatible, really replacement heart. When you think about the heart, it's amazing.
Oh, I
That's
know.
a hell of a pump, man.
So that's a long way off, in my opinion. Or you can grow them outside of a living organism, right? In a petri dish, in a axolotl tank, right? or you could attach them to an animal or implant them in an animal, but it's not their organ. You know what I mean?
Right. What about a bioprinter?
Or you could 3D print, and that we're not really anywhere near either. There's always people are researching it. There's studies they 3D print it, whatever. But for now, it's like denuding the scaffolding from an existing
Right.
organ, so you kind of have to need an organ to print an organ, and then they're printing the cells on it. So that's, again, I think we're a long way away
Yeah.
from that.
Too bad.
And then there's the one that I think we're the closest to, and it's actually working to some extent, and that is just genetically modifying animals and then harvesting their organs.
Yeah.
Pigs are good because they're the right size and their anatomy is close enough for most organs. And so all we've got to do, we've got to figure out which genes do we need to alter. And there's basically two things you can do. So you could make them into a universal human donor, right? You could humanize their immune system and make them into a universal donor. Or you can make them compatible with the specific intended recipient. You give them their immune system.
Wow.
Okay.
And we maybe use some combination of those two things. Like it's a generically human, as universal as possible, but we had to give it your blood type and some of your specific type, immune types.
And the pigs are okay with this.
Well, we eat pigs, so there's no difference.
Yeah.
They
Right?
want to be harvested.
They want their organs to be
Poor
harvested.
pigs, man. Why are they so
Please,
tasty? What the hell?
I know.
If
They're so
if they didn't
smart.
want to be eaten, they should have been so tasty.
That's what they're going to say about us. Just wait. The robots.
So and anyway, so any incremental advance that we make on this is heading in that direction of basically an unlimited supply of transplantable organs, and ideally, I'd love to get to the point where we don't need drugs. We don't need anti-rejection.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the big one.
That's the holy grail,
Yeah.
if you will, of organ transplant.
I
We
saw-
may see it. I mean, this is like, we're just incremental steps away from getting there. It's not like
Yeah,
we
let's
need a
defund
breakthrough.
science.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll be all right. AI will fix it. I saw this video and I figured it's relevant for this podcast.
No way.
Me, anytime someone says apparently.
So it's really bad. Apparently, it's terminal.
Anyway, I was like, have they been watching?
I love
It's like
that kid.
clearly-
You know, I
He's fully
watched
grown now.
yeah.
Liz's
very
mom
funny.
was up, and Liz said to her, "Have you seen about that apparently kid?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, you're gonna watch it now." And we watched the whole thing, and it's just funny on so many levels. It's not just the apparently. It's like there's so many pieces to it that
Oh,
make
God,
it,
yeah, the whole
that
thing
drive
is-
it home. He's like that little shit kid. I love him.
And,
all
and,
right.
and he was funny every time they had him on camera, like he was on talk shows and shit. He was
Oh.
still good,
Oh yeah.
Then he grew up and he lost his ability to be cute.
Yeah, no more cuteness. All right, let's get to Uranus.
Stop
Okay.
it, Ian. Jesus,
Sorry,
I told you
I'm
no
sorry.
yesterday.
So sorry.
Christ.
Okay.
Yeah, not a third time, man. Come on.
Uranus. Something happened to Uranus.
It has a
Bob?
new moon, everyone.
Uh-oh.
New moon, everyone.
All right, and that's it.
It's
Move
mooning
on.
you.
You're supposed to say
All right.
something, Jay.
Is that it, Jay? Say
did
something.
Jay say?
Say
What,
something
what do
about
I
it.
say?
That's no moon.
That's no moon.
Oh,
Come
nice,
on.
nice.
You're Mr. Q.
Can I tell you something though?
No.
Do we
No.
really need to talk about this? Okay, yeah, they got a moon. Okay, got it.
The question is
No
not that.
wonder in your
What
life.
did
Jay,
they?
you are so incurious.
What did they have? How many moons now?
29.
Okay, that even makes it less interesting.
It
No,
does.
but there is something interesting about that moon.
yeah.
What?
Because they were looking for moons specifically near the rings of Uranus.
Uh-huh.
Why?
They want to see it crash into the rings?
Because they think it creates the separations.
They're the
shepherding moons.
Yeah, so they were looking for shepherd moons that would keep the rings from expanding forever, whatever, keeping them in place.
Okay.
That we don't know what the shepherd moons are that are making those rings possible. So they found this moon, but it turns out it's not a shepherd moon. It's not in the right place.
What kind of moon is it?
It's just a small moon, like 6 miles across or something.
So you could jump really high on that.
You
planet.
could.
You can read escape velocity very
Yeah,
easily.
probably.
If you were, could you orbit around that, or is it the gravity not strong enough?
Around what? What do you mean?
No, you could.
Could you orbit around?
You would not. You could have to
Uranus?
go if you go slow enough about around the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. You'd have to be going very slow. Whatever you're going at orbital velocity.
Yeah, you could easily jump off it and reach escape velocity. That doesn't mean you're hitting escape velocity for the primary planet.
No,
Yeah.
no,
And
no. You'd
Uranus?
probably
No.
fall into. The
Oh,
primary
yeah.
planet.
No, you don't want to fall into Uranus. That's bad.
Okay.
But falling into Ian's,
All
Yeah, never
all
mind.
right.
Never
all
mind.
right.
Never
Bleep.
mind.
Where's the bleep button? Bleep.
I'll take any joke and turn it nasty.
I'll take jokes for 100.
You say that as if it's
So-
a good thing.
All right,
So what is I got a what is it about the lighting in this room that makes my hair appear darker? I love it. I just love how it looks. I see a lot of brown. If I look at my hair anywhere else, it's like Man, there's so much gray.
You got to be in the studio more, Bob.
I think I'm gonna live in here.
Look, I'm not gonna. I don't like to take credit and brag, but it's all.
you're
me.
going to?
It's all me
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just you know what, Bob? There is a dark brown ceiling above us with a lot of light bouncing off of that, and that could be the ambient light.
Well, how
from
come
Doesn't
Hey,
make my
but
hair
does
look
it help
darker, Jay.
Steve?
Yeah.
Help Steve.
Well,
Steve
but-
used to green screen out. Well, that was actually the
Yeah.
TikTok.
We're farther away from the green screen now.
All right, we got a couple fun videos.
Oh,
maybe we
finally.
can get to some TikToks. Okay,
Holding out.
here's a conspiracy that I think y'all might enjoy. Let's see.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, this guy.
This guy. Look at this freaking guy right here. Okay.
Joe Rogan,
Joe Rogan.
Punk.
Aleister Crowley.
Alistair Crowley.
Turn it up.
Oh.
Oh, they're both bald.
Joe
They must be the
Rogan?
same guy.
Joe Rogan. Wait a minute. Look at it again.
Aleister Crowley.
There. Oh, look at that guy.
Okay.
Thoughts? Look at that. Whoa.
I'm Truman from The Truman Show, the real life Truman.
These cameras.
Thanks
right
for
in front of the
watching.
screen.
It's
not helpful.
It's
I don't know what to think about.
it is kind of shocking when you first wrap your head around the fact that like you have a look and it's not unique
Yeah.
for the most part.
There's 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah, but you see, I found a website where they had old photographs that they matched to famous people, and it's like, wow, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like there's, you look like somebody. That's it.
Yep.
Hopefully that person doesn't have your name. Like they're.
So what you're saying is it could be Aleister Crowley
Oh.
inhabits Joe Rogan's body, and
You think he figured out how to be reborn?
I'm hungry. I want bread.
I know. We're gonna get back to the will at bread.
I'm
segment.
skeptical.
Jay is supposed to make a pumpernickel.
That's not true.
Okay.
Yes, I lied.
Okay. I don't
I
know
do it all
what
the
to
time.
believe
I'm lying
anymore.
right now.
I didn't have time. I have a lot of things going on.
All right,
you
that's
know.
fine. We got fun videos to watch. Let's just watch a couple more fun videos.
All
And then
right.
we'll do some TikToks. Here we go.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius. Real Men of Genius. Today we salute you.
Oh, you stupid fucker.
It's dousing in
Jesus
that pit. I don't know if you can
Christ.
see it, but it's still out there. People are still
See,
don't believe it. Could have been a joke.
as
but
I get older, like if I happen to be standing there and I saw that, I don't think I could keep my mouth shut. I really don't think I could just go, oh, okay, and just walk away. I would be more like, I would want.
Dowsing, really?
I would. I'd
Out of
want.
the pit, Jay.
The thing that troubles me is, how can they continue to do that because it doesn't work?
Well, there's a lot of water in a lot of places, so they get the
Yeah, but
the
he
feedback.
could be dousing for
They-
pipes, Bob, not just water.
True.
You know.
Sure, they douse for whatever they want. Maybe electricity, right? Electric lines.
Dirt. Dousing for
Yeah, we
dirt.
found it, boss. We found it. Do you guys think temperatures feel different? Let's see what
Reason
this
I
one.
can't sleep, number 2,313.
Turn it up.
72 degrees with the heater on
Turn up your
and
headphones.
72 degrees with the air conditioner on are two totally different temperatures.
She's right. She's right.
Are you right? You think so?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, in the car, yes, because there's a difference between having hot air blown on you and cold air blown on you, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different experience. Like the temperatures.
the average
don't-
temperature might be.
Yeah, the average temperature
same.
in the car may be the same, but your experience sitting right in front of the air is different.
But she could be talking about in the home.
If
too,
you're talking
and
about in the house, I don't know. I mean, it depends.
it's not as obvious in the house, but absolutely, if you have the heat on and it's 72 degrees, the air is quite different.
Well, what's different about it is that it's drier.
Humidity, yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
If you have the heater on, it's drier. So yeah, you have to account for humidity.
Yeah.
As I say, it's not the heat; it's the stupidity.
Yeah.
Stupidity, humidity. All right, we got a couple more that are fun. Let's see, what is this one? Jurassic Park? I don't even remember what this one is. Let's look at this.
You think dinosaurs existed, then your brain is kind of twisted. My name is Benjamin Hawkins, and you're looking at my drawings. Way back in 1676,
Yeah,
they
I
found
saw
the
'em.
bones that look like this, so I made Megalosaurus. It's the best. Just 2 bones, and I drew the rest. Stegosaurus, Brontosaurus, all just sketches came before us. Iguanodon, Megalodon, it's not real, it's just a con. Velociraptor, Oviraptor, turn the page for a brand new chapter. We're less trustworthy than your ex. 'Cause here's a big T-Rex.
All right. So, I mean, aside from the silliness, I guess the claim is that
Dinosaurs aren't real.
Aren't real. And also, everything that was like drawn about them was like interpolated from 2 bones or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like they don't look exactly like the way we think they do, right? They can't. We don't know precisely.
Well, but the core. Let's talk about the core claim is like that we don't have near complete skeletons of any dinosaurs, which is demonstrably
bullshit.
false.
Total bullshit.
We have lots of. So you could ask 2 questions: how complete is an individual specimen, and how complete is a cumulative specimen, right? So we may have 1 bone from 20 different dinosaurs, but they're all different bones. And we know,
Right.
or if you have enough bones that overlap where we could say, yeah, these are the same creature. And also, mostly you only need half, right? Because
bilateral symmetry.
The bilateral symmetry.
Yeah.
So
I want half, Eddie.
But so if you look at it that way, so we have complete, meaning skeletons for a lot of dinosaurs, meaning that we have samples to tell us what each bone looks like.
And then you can look at things like muscle insertion points to see, how robust the muscle was that was attached to the part, so you can get an idea of the thickness of the fleshy parts. But sure, there's stuff that you just can't really.
And there's homology with living creatures,
Right, but you can't be exact. That's why I'm sometimes a little bit skeptical when they take a skull and they add flesh onto the skull to identify a person. It's just like. I've seen some impressive work, and it's the amount of.
But
effort
I haven't seen. Have you ever
remarkable,
seen this? I agree with you. I'm like, can they really do that? Like, that was just an article yesterday, I think, or the day before about that, like putting flesh on skulls to see what people looked like. And my question is, I've never answered this question. Maybe we should investigate this. Has anyone ever done a blinded study? Where
you have a blind person do
it? Where you have a skull,
Triple blind.
where we have a picture of the person when they were alive.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
of
And you
course.
give it to different experts and say, put flesh on these bones, and then we compare it to the gold standard.
How
the
have they not
picture.
done that? It's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, because you need somebody's skull from like 100 years ago.
It's
where
not
we
like
have-
that. This would be so easy to do. I mean, come on.
I mean, there is a lot of science in it. I mean, they look very carefully at the skin depths based on various types of races. So if they find a skull that's clearly or likely to be Asian, then things skin densities and skin thicknesses are different, and cartilage and nose shape things. You could make a lot of educated guesses, but it's not like they're going to make. They're not going to put flesh on your buddy and be like, yeah, that's him. I mean, I've seen some that were somewhat close, but others that were just like, it's too generic. It's not.
Yeah.
But I haven't done a deep dive on it, so maybe
yeah.
we should do a deep dive on something like that.
Right.
Right. These other ones are kind of just dumb. Whatever.
Aren't they all dumb?
Actually, one is, here's one that maybe gets the hardest sometimes when people are like debating, which is a fun little thing. Let's see what this is. After 50 years of traveling the world,
I don't see anything.
Hold on, let me turn on the music. It's very loud. and
Is this
annoying.
just a song or is it a video?
No, you see it? Oh, you don't see it.
I'm not seeing the video.
I see a
dinosaur.
I see it looks like a T-Rex.
Hold on.
What are you
Something's
doing?
happening with the video. It keeps freezing. All right.
Oh, the guy.
Oh, crap.
Apparently.
I'm listening to Jurassic Park on audio. It's good, and there's some good stuff in there. Like, damn, I wish that was in the movie.
There we go. So it's about fallacies, just to pre-game it.
So this is a reading thing.
No, sorry. It's just like kind of maybe the overuse of like saying that's a fallacy. That's a
Oh,
fallacy.
yeah.
Oh, man.
You can't just leave me after 15 years to travel the world. That's the sunk cost fallacy. Think of how our children would feel with their father abandoning them. Appeal to emotion.
Yeah.
How could you even think about doing this, you selfish bastard? Ad hominem. I don't know. Somebody tagged us, and it was like,
Yeah.
is this what debating has become, where it's just like overuse of?
That's the fallacy.
Fallacy.
Yeah,
the
don't tell
fallacy.
your wife
What fallacy you
what
just
fallacy she's
committed?
committing.
That's a good,
Yeah,
good wisdom.
All right.
That's not a good idea.
Not a good idea. All right, let's get to some TikToks. I think it's time, right? Are
Yes.
we done with
Let's do it.
Tick-tock.
Tickety-tock?
All right, this means that are you
Cutting
going to
loose.
stay, Bob? Are you going to stay and help Steve out?
Hey, what?
No.
Tick-tock.
No, they're all medical
All right,
ones.
look,
Yeah, they
Steve.
all matter. I don't give a shit
Bob
about
and I are
that.
going to walk out right
Yeah.
now. Okay.
Do it.
We're going to leave. You're going to be alone with Ian, and you're going to do whatever the hell you guys do.
The one with Ian and Uranus.
Something with a pig too.
So have a great have a
do with
great
blowing a
day,
pig.
everybody.
Yeah.
All righty.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Talk to you
chat.
soon, guys.
Bye, guys,
Peace
tonight.
out. Ciao.
All right, so we're getting to TikTok. Say bye-bye to Steve. Here we go. TikTok. Let me get that. Oh, yeah, you got to sit in the middle. All right, see ya.
Sit in the middle.
Wait, push away the mics. Oh, never
Yes.
mind. Steve's going to do it.
Oy.
Oi. All right, let's get some hold music. Hold on.
Bob, are these your glasses?
My glasses. His glasses.
Actually, I think you go to these.
No. I never bought blue rimmed glasses.
That was sleep.
Oy.
Okay. Cord clipping. We got this.
What percentage of
we got
things?
That. We got what percentage of things?
Look at the front or the back camera?
The back camera.
Back camera. Okay.
All right, my eyes. Goggles. All right, we got that going. There. All right, let me just stop this recording real quick. Uranus, call it. Okay. Which one do you have a preference of which one to do first?
Now, whatever, just hit me.
The music fades, everybody. All right, we got a first one. Benefits of delayed clamping. Cord clamping. Here we go.
They cut the baby's umbilical cord way too early before it stops pulsating so that the baby doesn't get necessary nutrients, stem cells, and iron, amongst other things, so it can't fight diseases later in life, so they can make more money. Who said that?
I mean, this is really one for the tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory crowd. I mean, really, think about what you're saying. Seriously. So OBGYNs, right, the people who deliver babies, they deliberately harm the children they deliver so that other doctors in other specialties could make more money over them in 50 to 70 years. That's what you're saying. I mean, think about it. That's like, a mustache twisting, childish, cartoonish evil. Nobody's like that. It's ridiculous. But let's talk about the core issue here. Is there any benefit to delayed cord clamping? And the answer is yes. The evidence has accumulated over time to support this, the fact that if you delay by 30, we're talking about 30 to 60 seconds. So after the baby is delivered, rather than as quickly as you can clamping the cord, which there were reasons why that was the standard, to prevent certain things from happening. If you wait 30 to 60 seconds, you get kind of this last flush of iron-rich blood from the placenta, and it does have benefits for the fetus. So that is now the new standard of care, to do delayed cord clamping by 30 to 60 seconds. That is the recommendation of Academy of Obstetrics and Gynecology, of the World Health Organization, of the CDC, of every relevant professional group of physicians or health organization. So how is this a conspiracy when doctors are saying, yes, this is what you should do, this is what the evidence supports? So she's not even aware of what the actual evidence is. It's just a naked conspiracy. Doctors are evil. Don't listen to doctors. Don't listen to experts. And I'm just going to whisper it and be all cutesy to make it seem like, the powers that be are going to come after you. They are going to come after you if you say this thing that I somehow magically know, but doctors are lying to everybody about because they're evil and trying to keep us sick. I mean, can we dispense with this childish narrative for once and for all? Please, it really is just such utter nonsense. And at least do the 5 minutes of internet searching it would tell you, it would take to show that this is the standard recommendation of every medical organization. So that right there, that proves that your ridiculous, childish conspiracy is wrong.
Yeah. Take that.
Take that.
Yeah, that's classic. Next, they're going to say they don't want us to eat the placenta. What the hell is wrong with it? Just kidding. That's weird. All right, so let's go to this next one. Is this the CT scans, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Stand by. There we go.
So just to give an example, 5 CT scans in your lifetime is equivalent of Hiroshima or Nagasaki radiation-wise, right?
That's amazing. Most people don't realize that. Their doctor says get a CT scan, they get a CT scan. That's actually the equivalent of between 30 and 50 x-rays.
I can't even tell you how many early stage brain cancers, thyroid cancers, breast cancers that were picked up accidentally, incidentally, of people who thought they were healthy. Here's what do we do with patients with a brain tumor? We're having them scanned every 3 months with gadolinium. So suddenly, are we actually looking at brain tumor pathology, or are we looking at gadolinium pathology, or are we looking at gadolinium-driven pathology?
These chiropractors just don't know what they're talking about. So, first of all, when you say that an amount of radiation exposure is equivalent to Hiroshima, that's a nonsensical statement. You have to say, well, how far away from ground zero are you counting, right? 1,000 miles away? I mean, at some point, yeah, since the radiation exposure decreases with distance, at some point you're going to have the radiation exposure of a CAT scan. You go farther, you'll get the radiation exposure of an X-ray. You go farther, you'll have the well, that's about the same as the radiation exposure of taking a flight in an airplane. So that's just for dramatic effect, but it's completely nonsensical. But let's talk about the core claim here. Is the radiation exposure from X-rays and CT scans any health risk? And the answer is yes, it is. The medical profession recognizes that's a risk. We study it. That's how we know, because we do research to figure out the risk versus the benefit of common procedures that we use like X-rays and CT scans. We know it's radiation, So the everything has a risk pretty much, and we're always talking in terms of risk versus benefit. And this is explicitly taught to physicians, in medical school and medical training beyond that, right? So, and specifically with X-rays and with CAT scans especially, because it is a lot of radiation exposure. The risk, the lifetime risk from a single CT scan is about 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 100,000 patients, right? So 1 person out of 10 to 100,000 people will have some negative effect like a cancer from getting that 1 CT scan. That's not negligible. We take that seriously, but it's pretty low. But that means the benefit of getting the scan has to be greater than that, even if we take the high end, the 1 in 10,000, let's say, risk of there being a negative effect. And so, again, standard of care is to think carefully about the risks versus benefit of any imaging that involves radiation before you order it, to make sure that the benefits outweigh the risks. We don't do it just to see. We don't do it just to screen. We do it when there's an indication and when the benefits are likely to be more than that small risk. It's also different for different age populations. The younger you are, the more time there is for the risks to accrue. And so, if you're 80, we don't have to worry about you getting cancer in 30 years, right? If you're pediatric population, we do have to worry about that. So pediatricians are very reluctant to do any scan using x-rays for that reason. But then she mixes up something else entirely. She starts talking about gadolinium. Now, again, I don't know if they might have explained this elsewhere, outside of this clip, but just to be clear for those watching this video, we don't use gadolinium for CAT scans. Gadolinium is a magnetic contrast. We only use it for MRI scans. MRI scans do not involve X-rays. It's just magnetic fields. So there is no risk, no cancer risk, from an MRI scan. There's no cancer risk from gadolinium. It does not cause the pathology or the tumors that she's, completely erroneously warning about. That's just made up and wrong. But that doesn't mean it's risk-free. Again, nothing is risk-free. That's just the way life is. The risk of gadolinium is that it puts a lot of strain on the kidneys. It can cause kidney damage. And that's why we limit how much we give, how many scans you get with gadolinium over a period of time. We want to make sure that any previous gadolinium you received has been completely cleared from the body before we would do it again. And we check kidney function. This is standard of care to make sure that your kidneys are going to be strong enough so that the risk of harm from the gadolinium is minimal. The thing to keep in mind is that physicians know all of this. We're the ones generating the data. Physicians do the studies, right? And then they make recommendations based upon rational risk versus benefit calculations. And so warning about these things as if we don't know about it or that it's being hidden or that we're too stupid to think in such basic terms is just nonsense. That's what gurus and pseudoscientists do. That's not what's happening in the real world. This is not to say that the practice of medicine is perfect or we get everything right. Of course not. It's complicated. But these basic things like x-rays are a risk, yeah, no shit. We've known about that for more than a century. This is not news to anyone.
All right, we got that. SAT scans.
What other nonsense do you have for me, Ian?
Unlimited.
It is unlimited. It is a bottomless pit.
A lot of medical ones this week.
I know, and it's the same. I think it's the same conspiracy group of people with the same narrative. They want to keep you sick to make money off of you.
They're all in the same Discord or whatever. I mean, even this guy, which is going to be, it's like, unfortunately, he's on one of the most popular podcasts in the world, or the most popular podcast. So, yeah.
What's this one?
This is Andrew Huberman, and he's talking about medical books. Are they outdated?
Oh, yeah.
Or are they lying to you, basically, is what he's going to get into. All right, let's go into this. Here we go.
What percentage of things that you find in medical textbooks, basic and advanced, do you think are false based on your understanding of what we actually know now compared to when the textbooks were written? And he said 50%. And then Rick said, and then Rick said, I know, I was wide-eyed too. And then Rick said, and what is the extent of impact on treatment of patients modern day? And his answer was one word: incalculable.
Oh my God. 50%
50% in currently used medical textbooks, meaning that the literature has been updated with new understanding, new scientific papers, but it has not yet been incorporated into the medical education.
Well, some guy said it, so I guess it must be true, right? All right, let's put all of this into some actual context of reality, okay? So first of all, what does it mean for a textbook to be wrong? And we have to sort of operationalize that before we could put a number to it. That's way too black and white, all or nothing kind of thinking. This has actually been studied, this being how up-to-date, how accurate are medical textbooks. And usually the studies will look at specific individual textbooks, right? You can't make blanket statements about all medical textbooks. And you have to distinguish between print textbooks and online textbooks, because the ones that are online are updated much more often, much more quickly, right? The time between a new information becoming available and the updates being made to an online textbook are much shorter than having to do a new print version of a print textbook. So this has been studied, and you look at things like, all right, this entry was missing some new information. Does that mean it's wrong? No, it just means it was not fully up to date. And how important was that information? Would that change the bottom line recommendation of the treatment of that topic, et cetera, et cetera? So you have to drill down a little bit deeper. But if we ask sort of the more general question where there's something about the entry that was not complete or unbiased or updated, and you get figures that are kind of all over the place. It's generally like 25, 30, 40, 50%. It's not like just one number. But again, that doesn't mean that it's wrong or that it's worthless, just that there's a delay. There's a delay between when new studies are published in the literature and they find their way into a textbook. The sort of rule of thumb that we use as physicians, that textbooks are about 2 years out of date. Again, we know this. Right? This is no news to anybody. Of course they're 1 to 2 years out of date, although again, the online stuff, that window is closing. Because there's a certain amount of time it takes to do the publication process to get something into written form. But here's the thing. So I just retired as a physician after 30 years. So, and that's only counting after my residency, right? 30 years. So do you know how many times I've consulted a medical textbook in the last 30 years? Never. I don't think I've ever a single time consulted an actual textbook, except when I was doing historical research about information in textbooks, right? But I don't consult them for information about how to practice medicine because they're outdated. We know that there is a delay. What do we do today? We look it up online. I go to PubMed. I do an internet search. I look at recently updated systematic reviews. When I do a PubMed search and look for systematic reviews to get the latest info, I'm going in reverse chronological order. If something wasn't published within the last few months, certainly within the last year, I may not even get to it. Like, I consider that to be outdated, especially for a review. So we're not relying on textbooks for updated information. That's not what you use textbooks for, right? You don't use them to get the latest up-to-date information. You use them for stuff that's likely not to change very often, like anatomy. Right? Our knowledge about anatomy is not rapidly changing all the time. And so, not that there aren't updates, but that's not likely to change as fast as, say, what's the latest and greatest treatment for this difficult disease. No one's cracking open a textbook to find out, wow, what's the standard of care for this treatment? Why would we do that? We're going online and looking up databases and getting the up to the date information. In fact, there are specific databases like Up to Date. It's literally called Up to Date. And why do we use that? Because it has stuff that even before it's filtered into the online peer-reviewed databases. Like, this is the most recent information. So that's what we do. Now, if you look at the comments to this video, of course, it's full of just complete ignorance and misinformation about the practice of medicine. So I wanted to clear up some of the things there as well. People say, oh yeah, doctors who are out in practice, they could be 10, 20 years out of date. It's like, well, I hope not. I'm not guaranteeing you that there aren't any doctors out there that haven't kept up to date. But let me just tell you a couple of things you may not be aware of. There's something called continuing medical education. In order to keep your license up to date and any board certifications up to date, you need to earn a certain amount of continuing medical education credits every year. And this is all specialty by specialty, but sometimes, I'm board certified in headache medicine. In order to maintain that board certification every year, I had to read 20 articles that contained the most important updates or reviews, updates to clinical practice, and then I had to demonstrate that I read them and understood the content and passed a test of my knowledge about them. That was every year in order to maintain my certification. That's pretty standard. And of course, if you're a good doctor and you want to do what's right for your patients, you're going to keep up to date anyway, not just because you have to for a certification. Also, we have this thing called medical conferences that we go to, which is partly how we can get our CMEs, but also we sit in seminars and lectures and we talk with our colleagues and we get up to date and we learn about all the latest and greatest thing in our specialty. that's what we do. We're not just cracking textbooks from 20 years ago. So, learn a little bit about a profession before you deign to criticize it or make pronouncements about what's happening. It's a complicated world out there. And just assume at baseline that you know practically nothing about any field of expertise that you are not personally expert in. That's just baseline humility that we should all have. Most of us know almost nothing about most things. And if you think you can just pontificate about other complicated professions just from what you've absorbed from the culture or the internet, you're wrong. You're going to make naive and ridiculously silly statements about what they are doing or what is standard. At least talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about, or do a little bit of research before you come to a conclusion about it. Just watching a video like this or an interview like this, you got a complete misunderstanding about what is the standard of practice within medicine. So, exhibit a little bit of humility. Don't believe the conspiracy nonsense you see online.
Wouldn't that be nice if they took that advice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
The conspiracy thing. Medical books, I'll write it as. Yep. All right. Well, so that is Wednesday.
That's it.
That's it, y'all.
We are
I gotta
done.
run and go pick up my kid from school.
We got to prep for the show tonight.
For the show tonight, a bunch of stuff. What else is going on? There's the Kansas City.
Yeah, coming up, a few
Lawrence,
weeks.
Kansas. theskepticsguide.org. Go to theskepticsguide.org and you can see there's also, the Nauticon interest is already happening, so it's happening. Extravaganza and private show in Lawrence, Kansas.
Those are
I
always
don't
fun.
know why it's black, but it should be, okay, there it is, and you can buy tickets here.
Oh, we're just recording a show tonight. It's not live.
Oh yeah, it's not a live show.
Yeah.
We haven't done live podcasts, I think.
Done them
in
occasionally.
A long time, yeah. Like a live in person. But like live
We've
stream?
done live events.
Yeah.
And we've done live from the studio that were shows. But our
Right.
weekly Wednesday night recording of the show is not live.
Right, exactly.
It's just recorded. And
That's
it's only
it.
audio. Although that may be changing. There may be changes afoot.
Afoot on both feet.
Yes.
All right,
feet.
chat. Feet. All right, chat. Thanks for being
All right.
here. We'll see you
Bye,
next
everyone.
Wednesday.
Thanks, Ian.
Maybe Friday? I don't know if
I don't know.
Friday is.
No, maybe. I don't know.
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
Stay tuned. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We are coming to LA.
Yep, true.